The regular session of the Norman Schools Collaborative Board meeting to order. It's all vote. I'm sorry, roll call attendance.
Mr. Hodge.
Present.
Ms. Taylor.
Present.
Mr. Humphrey.
Present.
Ms. Williams.
Present.
Ms. Pearson.
Present.
Four. Great, thank you. 6 o'clock, we shall commence our meeting. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Part of the Vice President of our Norman Schools Collaborative, I will be standing in the absence of our President tonight, Ron Roberts, who is traveling out of the country on his birthday celebration. So we wish him well. The next thing on our agenda is public recognition. Chris, you got anything to celebrate with us? Thank you.
Superintendent board members. We all have a strong partnership into student success. Tonight, we want to recognize a very strong partner. That will typically was held school. During this time, members of the Gathering Church presented the school with a $10,000 check to purchase a smart board for the library. Mike Mahans to speak more on the partnership.
Thank you, and good evening to the board, Dr. Triplett, all stakeholders. I am so excited to stand before you today to acknowledge and honor our partnership with the Gathering. They have been partnered with us for about 8 years. And it started right after Deputy Assistant took over Norman Beach Schools Collaborative. And at the time, I worked at Barack Obama and then moved to Washington, and the partnership began. They have been faithful partners for the last 8 years. They have become like family to us. And I would just like to give thanks to Pastor Matt, who's the pastor of the Gathering, and his vision. What stands out most to me about the partnership, first of all, they really support to our first graders. They support me in acknowledging and showing gratitude to our staff for the tireless work that they do. And they have become so much like a family that they kind of remind me of the Lone Ranger. You know, you're familiar with that show. You know, he comes in on Tonto, he saves the day, he walks off, he goes off into the sunset, and people ask, who's that masked man? That's what happens with the volunteers of the Gathering in Washington. They come in, they sign in, they greet, they go get their kids, they work with their kids, and they're out the door. And for those who don't know them, they say, who are those people? And I think that that's worthy of acknowledgement because oftentimes we don't know the mission and vision of organizations. There's a saying that says, we talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? And the Gathering definitely does that. If you've never encountered them, if you've never been familiar with their vision, it is clear by their deeds that their goal is service. And so their gift of the $10,000 is much needed. We have a beautiful library, but our smart board is about the size of this laptop right here. And so that's an impediment when we are doing staff development. And so we're so grateful for their gift, and we really appreciate them. So please join me in acknowledging the gathering.
I just want to say, my name is Michelle Rupert, and I'm the new director of the Literacy Project, but I have been volunteering in Washington. And so I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your meeting tonight to acknowledge this partnership. We care deeply about public education, and I think at a time, especially when it is under such attack, particularly in our state, that we live in a place where even using the word equity in our state capital can shut down a conversation. We're just deeply committed to being part of the solution in our region for making sure that all kids have access to what they need to do well. I also want to say that Ms. Hollins is an amazing partner, and she's selling us maybe a little too far up and not giving herself enough credit. Partnerships take not just us, but also her and her staff. And when we walk through the door, we are greeted so warmly. We really look forward to our time there, and we look forward to just continuing to help promote literacy and just community partnership in your school. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate all of our community supporters and partners in the work that we do, and hats off to the gathering for their support of our young people in the district. Great job, Washington. At this time, we need to accept our agenda. We have the agenda. Are there any? We need to do a roll call vote to approve the agenda for tonight. Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Yes. Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Great, thank you. For that's right. So we need a second. We got a motion and a second to approve. Has been approved by roll call. Thank you. Item 4.0, 4.1 municipal partnership update. I think we have Mayor Jackson here.
Good afternoon to the board president in his absence, celebrating his birthday, to the vice president, a new fresh superintendent, Dr. Triplett, and to all of you students, teachers, administration, and to all of you that are stakeholders in this 24-1 footprint. I rise in the stead of our chair, Mayor James McGee of Benita Park. We had Mayor Griffin that was going to come and stand with me tonight. We know that his pro basketball team is in the Final Four. And so they are trying to make their way to New York. They have a game here and then going on to New York. They need our support at Jennings on Thursday at 7 o'clock at Jennings High School. They're a first-year team in this pro league. This pro league is directly connected to the NBA, and so these individuals are basketball players. They have 52 teams in the league, and it is wonderful to see that we have a team made up of young men that come from our footprint and from footprints near here that have made their way to the Final Four. And so if we could just acknowledge them by giving them a hand, even in their young men could be anywhere, but they chose to be in our footprint doing something special. But on behalf of 24 Municipal Partnerships, myself and Mayor McGee, we thank Normandy Schools Collaborative Joint Executive Governing Board for the opportunity to share updates. During the months of 24-1 Municipal Partnerships, BJC Community Behavioral Health Liaison Sean and Brittany Gibbs presented on BJC's work to form better community partnerships between community mental health centers, law enforcement, and courts, with goals to improve the outcomes of individuals with behavioral health conditions and prevent unnecessary jail, imprisonment, and hospital stays. They came to our partnership meeting as a result of a conversation at a community event at the high school when I said to them, after a 27-year-old young cousin of mine took her own life, who was a beautiful soul, but was struggling with mental health. And she took her own life, and as I said to them, it seems that we continue to be too late. And somewhere this thing, we have to get in front of the mental health crisis that face us because it is growing in our nation and not declining. We have to get in front of it. And so with that effort, they're looking to grow their efforts to reach all those that they can. So hats off to Sean and Brittany Gibbs. They have completed ride-alongs with North County Police Cooperative and other municipalities in North County. They also can meet officers at scenes of police calls, answer general questions about behavioral health diagnosis and treatment, as well as connect individuals to treatment. The night that they were at our municipal partnership meeting, our own councilwoman, Rita Days, got a flag on her phone that there was somebody having a mental health crisis. They were able to get that information real time and darted out the door to make their way to where they could be of assistance. And so we have a great partner in BJC and in Sean and Brittany Gibbs, and so we thank them for their efforts. BJC Community Behavioral Health Liaisons are a resource to the 24-1 community, and it is important that we continue to spread the word about their presence in the footprint. They want to give out their number and their email address, but I don't want to give out their number, but I will give their email address, sean.gibbs@bjc.org, and they can give you their number from there. If you will email them, they'll respond and give you the number that you need to call if you need their assistance. Our 24-1 Transportation Development District is moving right along at a good clip, and we're making wonderful strides, and we continue to move forward to create a 24-1 Transportation Development District which will generate new revenue for streets, sidewalks, curbs, and other transportation projects in our community. To date, 13 municipalities with one pending have passed preliminary resolutions to determine what might a new taxing body look like for this purpose. We plan to have a TDD will be a vote for yourselves so that we will then be able to generate funds that will help to make our cities look better and to make all of us collectively look the same across the footprint. Also, we have been looking into municipal audits. Many in the past year, some 24-1 municipalities have shared challenges with audit firms with whom they contract, with an annual audit being of the 24-1 Municipal Partnership best practices. We have recently shared a 24/1 municipal audit questionnaire with 24/1 mayors to understand the individual and collective needs and desires for audit services. With the questionnaire responses, we will determine if a collective bidding process for the service might be feasible. It is important that audits done within our cities because we have to send that data to the state so that we can be in compliance. Right now, for some of our smaller cities, we have a professor at Harrisville State College. He's a professor of accounting and has his PhD in that field. And what he is looking to try to see if some of his senior students can be used in some of these capacities. And then he, as a professor, would come and then check their work in some of the municipalities. They have really small budgets that they have to balance and books that they have to keep. And a senior in accounting could do that work very well, and especially if they have a PhD coming behind them to check their work and make sure that it's what it needs to be. But we're trying to help our cities in every way that we can. The TBD and municipal audit questionnaire are recent examples of how 24/1 Municipal Partnership focuses on issues that no single municipality can tackle on its own and works to promote good governance and provide efficient and effective services to all residents. We continue to do smart things. We continue to get awards, East West Gateway. We continue to be lauded all the way up to Washington, D.C., to our state capitol. People know 24/1. They know we do smart things, and they're looking forward to what's next in 24/1. Thank you, board, and to the board chairman, and to all of you who are listening. I'll turn it over to Chris Kramer of Beyond Housing, and he'll.
Mr. Hines, members, Dr. Triplett, I think in the agenda it says that Kerry Collins was going to give a presentation, so I'm a poor substitute for Ms. Collins, so I'm asking for your grace as I try to give you an update on wraparound services and a few other things. Wraparound services, Beyond Housing staff is gathering all the final data from all the partners in the school buildings, so we can add that data, and then for the first time ever, with Dr. Triplett and his team, evaluate how each one of the partners did. Did they follow through with the things they were saying they would do? What kind of results and outcomes did they have for our students and the families here in the district? And again, with Dr. Triplett and his team and with you, make some determinations if those partners will be asked to join us in the next school year. And we'll marry that with any new partners that, again, school district leadership believes could meet some unmet needs. We'll do that evaluation again and present that to the board coming school year. So again, exciting things happening relative to wraparound services within the again, a lot more cognizant about outcomes and how we're ensuring that those who are in the buildings are helping our children be successful and helping the families support their kids to be successful. A couple other things, our family engagement liaisons, as we tabulate the final numbers, so these numbers I'm about to give you do not include with what happened in May. The fellows, the family engagement liaisons for this school year had over 3,000 one-on-one engagements with students, served over 1,300 families unduplicated. So that's a significant percentage of all the families in the school district. We made over 1,000 referrals to wraparound service partners and other entities. We provided over 20,000 basic need items. And we welcomed nearly 3,000 parents at a variety of engagement events all throughout the school year at all the school buildings. So again, great work done by the family engagement liaisons who have been a steadfast presence in all the school buildings for many, many years. The Viking Advantage program, our match savings program for college. We had 35 Normandy High School seniors in the program this year. We had 50 students from the entire footprint, but 35 coming from Normandy High School. In the program this year, they saved nearly $15,000, which means that Beyond Housing then provided another $45,000 to help the young folks pay for post-secondary education. Those 35 students are going to colleges that range from Washington University, the University of Arizona, a number of the St. Louis Community College places here in St. Louis, as well as the barber schools and beauty places. So again, our students are getting the kind of support to live out their dreams, to live out their aspirations. As you will recall, in addition to those 3-to-1 matches that we provide for college, we also do college visits. We visited 7 different universities in a 500-mile radius of St. Louis. We assisted with ACT prep, we assisted with FAFSA completion, and looking at the financial aid packages that get sent home. So again, this particular program now has sent over 435 kids to college, over 135 college graduates, 13 master's degrees, 1 doctor, and 3 folks are in law school as we speak. So again, supporting our children proves that they can be wildly successful if they have the right kind of support. I will mention the last several years we've had a secondary program. It's called the Young Adult Program. So this program says if you match, this is kids who are now juniors and seniors in college and need a little more financial assistance, you say 2,000, we'll match it 2-to-1. So that particular program, we had 20 participants in this last school year. So if you think about that program along with the Bike Advantage program, we provided $85,000 in again, scholarship and financial aid support to the students in that particular program. We're thrilled with the success that it's had, and we're excited to have another 50 kids next year in the graduating class and the 100th anniversary of Normandy High School. So we're thrilled again to continue to expand that program. And lastly, our after-school program, we had an average of 500 hours of after-school reading time for all the students participating in our program, which equates to about 3 hours per school day of reading to help our children, again, make sure they have the literacy skills to be successful in life. And we are currently preparing our 11th or 12th year of the Children's Defense Fund Freedom School program, a culturally relevant literacy-based program to help scholars learn to love reading, how they can make a difference in themselves, their families, their schools, their communities, their country, and the world through education and action. We're thrilled to be a part of this Normal Schools Collaborative, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Comments?
I don't have any questions, but if you could, the report that you gave, I'm sure it'll be used in writing so we can review it and reflect on it in the coming days.
I will simply press forward, Mr. Humphrey, and send it to you, because my wonderful staff just said, here, say this stuff to the board, so I will glad to forward it to you.
Thank you.
Ask the chair for 45 seconds to give this last piece. Remedy, our chair and myself, what you just heard from Beyond Housing, Remedy and myself, because of our work and how we look invasively at our school district, we found out that over 60 nonprofits were using Normandy as being on their paperwork that they send in to say that they were doing services in Normandy. We realized that all of them were not doing services in Normandy. And as a result, Normandy started to look, when we made them aware, started to look at these nonprofits, and were able to kick 30 of them out of here. We really weren't kicking them out because they weren't here anyway. And so, if nonprofits are going to work in your school district, then what you just heard from Beyond Housing, the numbers you heard, the input and the impact on families and on students, that's what you ought to have in a report coming from anybody who says they're servicing any children at Normandy. They should be coming here doing a report saying what they are doing in our school district with our children. Because sometimes they're doing nothing, but they're getting dollars to do something. And it's up to us to make sure that they're using those dollars to service the children that they say they're servicing. What you heard from Beyond Housing is what you hear from a nonprofit that is really true. And so let's give a hand to Beyond Housing for working in our school district.
President Burford is here. Is that true? There you go. I knew you were presenting earlier today, so thank you for being here and for your support in so many capacities. And we're happy for you to witness how Normandy is leveraging its community partners to do the work that is so essential. Moving on to 5.1, there are items for consent. I would like to invite our items for consent.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote, please? Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. It has been, that motion has been approved. Item 5.2 is personnel action. I'm sorry, is it?
We're at 701. We're at
We're at
701.
Sorry. Items for consent agenda. I think we've already done that.
We
Right?
just did that.
Yeah, so we're at 7. Thank you so much. At this point, we'd like to have a presentation. We've got a presentation.
I want to thank the board and Mr. Hodge and Dr. Triplett again for the opportunity to present to you and provide some additional information regarding Solution Tree. I want to introduce myself. My name is Jessica Tuttle, and I am the Director of Educational Partnerships for the state of Missouri, representing Solution Tree. I have a few other partners with me. TJ Mears is our Vice President for the Central Region, and also Ben Tilley is here, and he is our State Branch Director, again, representing for Solution Tree. Today I want to share some additional details with you regarding priority schools and the PLC at work and our expected outcomes, and then open it up to questions. So our priority schools in the PLC at work is led by Dr. Sharon Kramer, and our experts have proven success with the unique challenges of priority schools as both practitioners in their own schools and through their work helping others achieve success in school turnaround. We fully appreciate that education, and particularly school turnaround, is a high-stakes endeavor, and the future of our students and communities depend on our ability to provide evidence-based, research-affirmed, and proven best practices that accelerate learning and develop a healthy and results-focused school culture. The plan presented to you is modeled after the RFP Solution Tree was awarded by DESE to provide school turnaround services to the schools and districts that have the greatest need for improvement. We are currently implementing this plan in Riverview Gardens School District and recently reported our first-year findings to the state. This plan will provide full wraparound support and coaching based on the individual needs of the school. Our team has been specifically selected because of their work with transforming priority schools, and to be a part of this team, associates must have engaged in successful school turnaround work, and they will work collaboratively with the district and building leadership to help solve the issues that are getting in the way of student achievement. Priority schools in a PLC at work is guided by the 3 big ideas of PLC. It's a focus on learning, a focus on collaboration, and a focus on data. Our team will help each building develop structures of collaboration by creating learning-focused school cultures that are guided by those 4 critical questions of PLC at work. What do we want students to be able to know and be able to do? How will we know if students are learning? What will we do when they don't learn it? What will we do when they already know it?
Together, we will ensure we are effectively utilizing the built-in time for collaboration and help to develop systems and processes that support rather than overwhelm those who do the work of school turnaround. At the heart of our plan is a 10-day student learning cycle which addresses pre-instruction, core instruction, and post-instruction, along with the core PLC critical questions that every school must address. The learning cycle will work quickly to diagnose challenges with all stakeholders within the 3 phases of learning by identifying the steps necessary to plan for instruction, the steps that need to occur during instruction, and what should occur when instruction has been completed. I want to take some time in the next few slides to review the level of support you can expect from our partnership. In terms of frequency, our coaches will be in the district 30 days per building, working with principals, and 210 days for all schools in year 1. In year 2 and 3, you can expect 36 days per building, or 252 days for all schools. We will also provide district-level support to ensure we are aligning our efforts district-wide to build leadership capacity and provide progress monitoring. Also providing a resource bank and an event seat bank that can be allocated throughout the district. So let me share some expected outcomes or results from our interactions. The priority school associates or coaches will work with all the school stakeholders. We will work with leadership to identify central standards, unpack those standards into learning targets, create common formative assessments and unit plans. We will also look at trends such as attendance and behavior. The principal will work side by side with the associate and will be responsible for planning each coaching day. The coach will also build capacity with the principal to facilitate the work in between our sessions. We also want to provide principals with strategies to engage parents in the learning. We engage teachers in the work of unpacking standards, creating common formative assessment and unit plans, and discuss learning and instructional strategies to teach the learning targets. They will also receive strategies and tools to support classroom management and create a culture conducive of learning. We help establish the routines and practices that engage Normandy scholars by helping scholars take ownership of their work. We will share strategies that enable schools to effectively engage parents in their scholars' learning. Beyond this, your teams can expect phone, email, and text support from our coaches. We will also have a dedicated team here at Solution Tree whose role is to ensure that we are meeting your expected outcomes. To recap, at the end of year 1, Normandy will see the principal move from building manager to instructional leader. Collaborative teams will begin working more effectively and understand and use data to guide the next steps in student learning. Students will be exposed to strategies that engage them in their learning, and Normandy will begin to see a culture shift in the learning environment for both students and parents. I want to give you the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have for us before you take action on this work.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We have had extended conversations about Solution Tree, so we open the floor for questions. Ms. Pearson.
You said that this program is in the Riverview Garden School District. Is it in the county or the city?
No, in terms of the program that has been designed by DESE, the work that we're doing is exclusively in Riverview Gardens in the county of St. Louis.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Williams.
No question.
If you could, I know that you said that you just completed a report to DESE on some of the preliminary findings. Can you briefly share with us a little bit of the success that you had in the other district?
I would like to invite Ed Tilley to the podium to discuss that since he's been involved in writing that report.
Good evening. On June 6th, we had the opportunity to report to the State Board of Education. It was myself and and Dr. Pruitt Adams and Ms. Barb Sharp from Riverview Gardens. There are 9 broad areas that we evaluate and we monitor during the work that we do. And so when you look at the 9 broad areas, there are also 25 indicators underneath those areas. And some of those areas that we monitor includes the culture of success, it's leadership, it's students owning their own work, it's the 4 questions of a professional learning communities. And we monitor that on a scale of 0, that there was no evidence of that practice happening or taking place in a building, to a 4, meaning that they have fully embraced that concept and are using it regularly within their building. So at the beginning of the year, we did a needs assessment this is for the 3 turnaround schools identified by the state. In all of those schools, we saw progress. In one of the schools in particular, they had progress in every one of the 9 areas and all 25 of the categories. The other schools had progress with those 9 areas, but not quite all 25 categories. We also were monitoring attendance, the proportional attendance rate, and we saw a 6.5% to 7% increase in the proportional attendance rate. If we can't get them to school, we can't teach them. So we worked hard on strategies to engage students and to get them in school. We also looked at the STAR data for literacy and mathematics for those 3 schools. In literacy, we saw gains in all 3 of the schools. Mathematics has been a bigger struggle for the district. We saw slight gains, but that is an area identified for content coaching this next school year. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Violet Taylor.
Yes, can you name the 3 school districts for me, please?
3 schools.
3 schools, I'm sorry.
In the Riverview Gardens district?
They're all in the Riverview Gardens?
Yes, it is. It's Highland Elementary, Meadows Elementary, and Lewis and Clark Elementary.
Okay. And then I have a part 2 to that. What type of feedback have you received from the teachers as far as to
Sure.
this learning?
One of the things that we'll establish if we form a partnership, we'll create what we call our dashboard. And every time a coach goes into the building, for one, they will start with a needs assessment. Then they will work with the school to create a 30, 60, and 90-day plan. And then every time they go in the building, they will do a coaching note or coaching assessment. And in that information, they gather, okay, how are the faculty feeling? What's the culture looking like? Are they seeing success? So we would report similar information to you. In the feedback that we get from the schools is that the faculty and staff are positive. They like having the support available to them. In fact, we are starting this next school year by sitting down with every school, with all of the faculty, and we're planning out the first cycle of learning so that everyone, whether you're provisionally accredited or fully accredited, everyone goes into the classroom with a plan of attack for day 1. So the teachers appreciate the additional support that they receive from our coaches.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. We're particularly interested in the building-by-building assessment that you are offering to the district. I know we covered that, but can you provide any additional insight to that process, Ben?
Sure. The assessment is actually, it's a 37-page document that our coaches will work with the building. But when they go into the building, what they're looking for is just sort of an unbiased look at what's happening within that building. So they will have an interview with the administrators in the building. They will interview parents in the building, and they'll interview students to find out what are their perceptions of the schools. We have already started, we kind of got a jump on looking at the data that is currently available, the state data for the Normandy School District. And so the coaches will be looking at any also available data. They'll want to look at attendance data, they'll want to look at progress monitoring data, they'll want to look at behavior data, because all of these associates have been in the position of having to turn that data around. So they want to get an honest look at what is happening in the schools so that they can make a plan with the admin team about how to proceed next. What are we going to do for the first 30 days? What will we do for the next 30 days? So that you're doing a 30, 60, 90. And then at the end of that 30, 60, 90, they will evaluate, have we met our goal? Are we partially to our goal? Or do we need to establish a new goal to keep moving forward?
Thank you so much. Are there any additional questions or comments related to what's been presented? If not, I will call for a motion to approve the Solution Tree as a Normandy Schools collaborative partner to assist with this turnaround effort.
So moved.
You have a second? Second. Thank you.
Second,
Thank you.
Sheila Williams.
Sheila Williams. Call for a vote to approve.
Mr. Hodge?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Thank you. The motion passes. Thank you. For your presentation. Really excited now to talk about a new development in our district. We have a presentation on our middle school reinstatement. I think Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor, just provide us with a summary of the information you provided. Meeting before we call for a vote.
Good evening. As we all know, the importance of middle school education can never be overlooked or underestimated. The future of individuals and indeed that of society is largely dependent on the nature of the educational experiences of our middle school students. Middle school schoolers should have experiences that are meaningful and supportive of their growth, development, and learning needs. Changes in the patterns of thinking become evident in the ideas and questions middle school students exhibit. So the proposal that I have shared with you comes forward to ensure that we, Normandy Schools Collaborative, are responsive to the needs of our middle school students. So within the proposal, you have an abbreviated survey which states that parents and staff are concerned that middle school students are in an elementary setting. Parents and staff should be not satisfied with the middle school, with the middle school being reestablished. Parents are unsatisfied with the elementary school model, and students will be very excited about attending the Settlong Middle School. Our projected enrollment for 7th and 8th grade for middle school will be 481 students with an average size of 28 students per classroom. The proposed courses that will be offered are ELA, math, social studies, science, art, music, physical education, health, Spanish, French required, project Lead the Way, which you will consider robotics, band, and orchestra and drama. So in the proposal that you have, it lists the discipline events and some prevention and interventions to discipline. One, we have of course, our Norman Schools Collaborative Code of Conduct Manual, our pro-social and active learning classroom project through Mizzou, Teen Outreach Program, Boys to Mentors, extracurricular activities, morning advisory periods, and wraparound services. Included in the proposal, you have the historical average map data of scores from 2015 through 2021. The academic support would be the new curriculums such as McGraw-Hill Study Sync ELA, McGraw-Hill Reveal Mathematics for middle school, along with block scheduling. What are the high school connections? Project Lead the Way, band, choir, orchestra, athletics, ELA and math curricula, as well as block scheduling. In addition to staffing, the Office of Human Resources have worked diligently to ensure that staffing at the middle school is fair. Decisions were made that serve the students of Normandy Schools Collaborative. The total number of staff at the middle school projected is 41. This includes 6 classified teachers and 2 openings, library assistant and counselor. With the move to middle school, it lessens the number of staff needed in elementary schools. And here you have our next steps, which if it is board approved, you have the staff notifications will come out of the week of June 19th from the Office of Human Resources, SSD, our food service director, as well as our director for safety and security. Our director of maintenance will start the moving the week of June 19th and possibly have that completed by July 3rd. Technology support, community notices, parent communication, master scheduling, and walkthroughs will be conducted between the weeks of June 19th and the weeks of August 1st, I'm sorry. Are there any questions?
Thank you. What I would like to do is call for a motion to approve the proposal to reinstate Normandy Schools Collaborative's middle school as proposed. Is there a motion? Hard to get a motion today. Is there a motion to approve? There's a motion. Yes. Great, thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Questions and comments before we vote? Are there questions? Ms. Pearson.
Can you please clarify the grades that will be in the middle school?
7th and 8th grade.
And have the parents been notified that there may be a possible move to middle school as opposed to elementary?
Yes, there were emails sent out, and plus the community forum was part of that process.
That's because not everyone came to the forum, but this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, Ms. Pearson?
I'm done.
Thank you. Ms. Williams? No questions. Mr. Humphrey?
My only comment, as we move back to the middle school model, data at the end of this school year, the infractions were very high. And so I'm very concerned about that, as we move forward to that model. And I would suggest that as we move into that model, that we're providing a monthly update on student behaviors so we can begin how the programs we're putting in place, because I remember the middle school back when the 7th and 8th grade center was in place, and one of the concerns at that time was behavior. And so I don't want us to revisit something that we've had.
Would you like to respond to Dr. Triplett, would you like to respond to that, the inquiry about behavior management?
When Dr. Taylor was giving her description, she mentioned pro-social emotional rep services, et cetera, which I think did not exist previously in the middle schools. The effort to, mental, so the effort is to provide just as much effort around social emotional concern and as well as academic. So yes, we don't have any problems with giving you the updates. But a few months ago, we made that same concern. Those are just concerns, period. But that's the same issue you get in all schools. It's not germane to middle schools. That middle school ages, and so that's just what you get. But the object around social emotional concerns.
Taylor.
Yes, I have 3 questions. I have lots of questions today. When was the information sent out to the parents? You said that.
The email was sent out. There are several communications sent here to parents about the survey as well as survey and the community forum where the information shared with parents. We haven't shared any information as far as the middle school coming into existence because it has not been board.
Okay, all right. How many officers will be on duty? Did you mention? 3?
Three,
Okay.
yes.
Last question. I did hear that you mentioned that there will be a mentor program for the young men.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the young ladies?
Well, we can definitely work on that.
Because I feel that they need.
Yes.
They need I mentioned, they really do. All right, thank you.
Additional, Board Member Taylor.
Yes.
I've assigned cabinet members to schools to provide some extra service and be ambassadors for the schools to make sure they get things done in timely fashion. So Dr. Petty is assigned to the middle school. Strength, if you will, in the schools.
Can I have one thing? The other concern is because at the last meeting, when you made mention information get to the parents in a timely manner.
Yes, the goal is to have parents be notified the week of next week.
Okay.
Next week, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I understand that we are ready. There's a board vote as early as next week. I'd like to take
I do have one other question, if I could.
there's another.
I did have a contact from a parent that asked a question that once the if for some reason, if there's a concern for them to provide input to parent, that I think they currently in Washington, but there will be no concern that if
Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Earl.
it will be addressed.
So much. My only question is, will housing and our partners also be providing wraparound services to the middle school?
Yes.
Thank you so much. With that being said, I do want to call for a roll call vote on this proposal.
yes,
Moving on to 8.0, budget preview. Dr. Pusateri. The items for information.
That's right. Thank you, Vice President Hodge, members. Tonight I'm going to walk you through kind of the financial landscape and walk through some initial assumptions of the budget. You do have a copy of the budget hot off the presses now in front of you, and you'll be able to review that as we have a special call meeting scheduled for noon on the Thursday, the 22nd, to vote on the actual budget itself. So feel free to send questions to Dr. Triplett, if any come up during this conversation, as well as after you review the budget.
Thank you.
Also, in the packet that was handed out tonight and on the consent agenda was a budget amendment for this year's budget. Just note that the document that you have in front of you is the most updated version. It has slightly higher end-of-year anticipated fund balances of approximately 27, which is a little higher than what was in Board Docs. So this is the one that's going to be the official one, is the one that's been given to you. Just letting you know, we're in a solid financial position, but we have some caution with end-of-year fund balances approaching 27%. That's a good amount above 15% that the Normandy Board asked for as a limit in 2018. That higher fund balance target, that helps us with our S&P rating as well as for bond financing. We've been strategic to use ESSER funds to help build up fund balances in anticipation of a fiscal cliff, or basically a reduction in revenue. We'll talk a little bit about that. This slide shows the growth and how we've been sustaining fund balances in the high 20s. It also looks as though with next year's budget that we should also continue to build it even further, tentatively projected to end next year around 29%. That 15% number is important because if we get below 15%, we don't have enough cash in the bank to pay salaries come November, and that's our revenue low points, because the local taxes start coming in, the taxes that you get in the mail where you pay your housing taxes, we start getting those in December, and we don't want to do that. So that's something that the superintendent and the CFO and the board always keep a close eye on, is the projected end-of-year balances percentage. Some of the ways that we have been strategic in building up fund balances has been covering operating funds for a few years, and this has been able to help us build this cushion so we can prepare ourselves for the fiscal cliff. So we have a certain amount of salaries, we have a certain amount of benefits, and we have purchase services, some essential services such as our nurses, our subs, as well as some professional training that had happened earlier in the year. As well as supplies, as well as the curriculum that the board recently approved. That's going to help move our students forward. And that helps us mitigate against learning loss, which is a key factor for ESSER 3 funds. So ESSER 3 funds end after this coming year. So you'll see in the budget in front of you that we do have one final year, 23-24, of our ESSER 3 funds. And those funds are spread out in partially in operating, and then there's partial amounts that the superintendent and the board have some discretion with. And as we look at our solution tree, it appears that's the direction that we'll be looking, that we're teed up to be successful with. But after next year, those ESSER funds go away, hence the term fiscal cliff that you hear. That's not the only reason why we might be facing a little bit of a fiscal cliff or some revenue coming down. In addition, the State Department of Education has allowed school districts to count their enrollment from 2019-20 as the amount of basic formula state money that we receive. And for us, here's a table showing that our 2019-20 September enrollment was about 3,200. We've dropped since then. Just last year we were about 2,900. This year we're up about 3% compared to last year, and we hope that this continued upward trend of about 3% continues, because eventually we're going to have to kind of be living on our current numbers and not on our 19-20 numbers. The challenge there is about a $1.4 million reduction annually in basic formula money out of approximately 20. So that's something we're going to have to be mindful of, and another reason why we're building up our fund balances to withstand that future reduction. You can see the revenue by source and the projections going ahead. That orange band in the middle represents state money, and you can see how it's getting smaller as it goes to the right. The gray band at the top is federal, and we received a good amount of ESSER money, and then that'll be going back to just normal federal levels. And then that yellow on the top, that was the no tax increase bond issue. We will be eligible, according to our bond underwriter, and according to our calculations, for, if the voters approve it, a no tax increase bond issue in April of '25 that could generate as much as $21.5 billion. So something for the board and superintendent to consider for their discussions as we get closer to 2025. As we said earlier, we're keeping an eye on our fund balances, and we look at that year 25, 26, and the current projections show us getting closer to our 15% kind of limit in a couple of years, in 3 more years, well, 4 more years. So this is the amount of time we have to kind of tighten up and make some changes, and we'll talk a little bit about ways that we can make those changes in order to make that orange line not continue going down. But in addition to the fiscal cliff, it's important that the board is aware of a couple other possible harms to our revenue. We want to continue to monitor the local charter school and monitor the number of students who attend our district who decide to transfer there, maybe because of advertisements, but the brand building that we have underway and the excitement we have around Solution Tree and the new leadership and the return to the middle school, I think are all good reasons why a number of families would want to stay, but it's still something to monitor. In addition, we are glad that the legislative action on open enrollment did not pass, but that legislation, we think, could lead to a reduction of about 3% in annual state funding and revenue loss if about 3% of students were to transfer. Okay, take something here, just a minute. So we'll continue to be in touch with State Senator Brian Williams. It did pass the House, despite Kevin Windham and the other representatives. And we want to thank Representative Crowder Windham for voting against it. However, we need them to make sure that they're trying to convince others as well to keep that not to go to the Senate. It did go to the Senate this year. Unfortunately, as I understand it, some infighting on the other side of the aisle stopped it. But we still need to keep our eyes on this troublesome legislation. So we've been having these discussions. What are ways that we can mitigate against the fiscal cliff besides building our fund balances up? Well, it is important to know that over the last 7 years or so, we have reduced cost to staff for insurance by over 25%, and the plan has gotten better. And while the board and the prior superintendents have said, you know what, we really need to look out for our employees to make this a great place to stay and work, insurance continues. NEA membership on the insurance committee to work through this together. This is a time where we consider sharing some of those cost increases back with staff, because it's been a good 7 years since they've kind of felt the pain of the increasing costs. Again, or we look at some plan changes to save money as well. There's also talks underway with the NEA on what exactly the pay increase for this certified staff will be next year. We can be really proud to say that we got ahead of the curve and gave the board approved a for folks on the teacher scale of, if I recall, 5.8% last year, and then a 2-step increase the year before that. So significant pay increases for staff on the certified scale the last 2 years. But the question is, with the fiscal cliff coming, can we still do that? So that's something that's under consideration. As you can see, benefits the cost for benefits continue to go up, so we might look at mitigating our, maybe looking at our plans so that we can have some cost savings there. As mentioned, if we look for a no tax increase bond issue from voters in 2025, that could generate nearly $22 million. And one positive from that could be the ability to pay for things that we usually use taxpayer money for, just through regular tax revenue or our own state money, such as IT devices. refresh, IT systems and infrastructure, roof replacement and upgrades, playground improvements. That type of thing is something that we can look at to mitigate the fiscal cliff. Finally, and most importantly, we just need to keep our eye on staffing. What are ways that we are continually right-sizing and making sure that we have optimum class sizes, not too big, but also not too small, and also keeping an eye on other positions outside of teaching to make sure that we are getting the most bang for our buck at the staff level. And we have a few years to do that. Salaries continue to take up a good portion of our expenses. Let's talk about the coming year budget, some of the initial assumptions in the budget document as I get ready to conclude. For next year, our state funding will remain the same, even though our ADA is down. That's because of the hold harmless. Our ESSER 2 funds have ended, well, that'll end in a few months, but we have obligated all of those funds. This is ESSER 3's final year. This last September, we had a recoupment where we were able to generate about $600,000 more in local taxes due to a calculation mistake, for lack of a better term, on the state. So therefore, that was a one-year recoupment of the prior year, and we're not going to be able to do that again. So our tax revenue is going to be down a little bit next year as well. Our capital funds are healthy, and we'll be able to allocate more funds to the operating levy, that is salaries, and less funds to capital next year because we're in good shape on the capital side. Just the initial assumptions, again, we're still in conversations with the IBB, and we're looking at options there. The assumption for the classified admin of this budget is that it's a one-step increase. We're projecting an 8% increase for medical and dental insurance. Hopefully, we come in under that. And we're looking at a stable or slightly lessening FTE count, but continued close monitoring is needed on that. And like I said, we're continuing to build up fund balances by paying down operating costs. It's our final year for ESSER 3. With that, are there any questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Board Member Pearson?
No question.
Williams?
No questions.
Humphrey?
The only question I had is a comment, as you look at the staff talk about trying to find a board-approved dental plan because they were having some issues finding places to use. I'm not even sure which dental plan we have, but they communicated that if there was, it would be something very desirable. So as you look at that, they'll just kind of keep that on the radar.
8% increase in. Is there a reason behind that?
Well, we are a self-funded district, and we kind of live and die by our claims. And it's our claim history over the last 15 months. We get to see it. We get to see all the expenses, not matched with by person, but we know what we're spending, and as a result, we need to pay for those. But we're happy to do maybe a smaller board workshop on that. But in short, it's because of claim history that our costs go up.
Cost more because we use it.
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
No questions.
Questions. Thank you for the presentation. 8.2, short presentation on Senate Bill 1010, which we provided some insight to. This is for informational purposes. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bill for open enrollment was passed. And that is Senate Bill 1010. It is an open enrollment plan that allows non-resident students to enroll in any public school across the state, regardless of residency. The incoming district is not responsible for transportation. However, those students that transfer in are allowed to report to a bus stop within the district and catch the bus. But we are not, if we were a district that's receiving non-residential students, we are not required to pick them up at their home of residency. The bill becomes effective July 1 of 2023. There are some restrictions. If a student has discipline issues, we do not have to accept them. If a student, if a 9th through 12th grade student transfers, they cannot participate in sports for the first year. And starting in October, we can set requirements for the next school year as to what we will accept for the next school year. But the bill did pass and it becomes effective July 1st of this school year. That is Missouri Senate Bill 1010.
Just for clarity purposes, can you explain to us again those implications of the passing of this bill for our district?
That means that if other students outside of Normandy in the state of Missouri want to enroll in Normandy, and they do not reside in Normandy or own property in Normandy, we have to allow them to enroll. The restriction is we don't have to accept them if they have disciplinary issues from their previous school, and we do not have to exceed over 5% of our student enrollment. We can provide a waiting list to accept students after we have our maximum amount of students that we can enroll.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions? Board Member Pearson.
No question.
Sheila Williams. Humphrey.
I did have a couple. Now, I know when I looked at the earlier bill, it talked about students not only coming into the district, but they could. Last time I saw it was actually 3% of the prior year's attendance. Is it now 5% and not 3%?
They may have changed it back to 3, but there was talk of 5%. They had increased it to 5%.
Now, the other question is that when a student either comes into the district or leaves out of the district, does the state money follow the student?
Yes, it does.
Those are the only questions I have.
Ms. Taylor.
No question.
In your assessment, that it looks like there's 140 students, is that correct? That could potentially choose our district.
That is correct.
Do you anticipate being the downside of that or the upside of that?
It's kind of twofold. I think we will have many students who could possibly have disciplinary concerns that may attempt to enroll. If we don't make the attempt to get those disciplinary records prior to officially enrolling them, then that may be part of the barrier that hurts us. And so we have to make sure that registration, those attendance clerks and secretaries that are enrolling students ensure that they have their disciplinary records prior to officially enrolling them.
Thank you so much. Yes, Dr.
So this is where it's really good to have partners like is we know schools and families, they really drag around providing schools with all of the documentation they need to enroll students, especially around discipline and around shots. And so what typically happens is the state put a lot of pressures on the incoming schools to accept students in a timely fashion. On those schools that they put the pressure on the schools that the students want to attend. And so when this happened, I'll be reaching out to partnerships so that we can push back and apply some pressure there. What we don't want to do just what they asked us to provide limitations to, and that's just accept students in our district with disciplinary issues.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I would, in addition to what our superintendent just stated, if they are allowed to transfer into the Norman School Collaborative, and then we find out that their records were withheld, so we just have to deal with the consequences. All right. You notice I said our actions because we accept it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, one other question on top of that. So once they decide that they are considering transferring, how long does that process generally take? Is it just a matter of them calling or sending the information over? You know, child transfers from one residence to another, you have to inform the school of the change of address. That can be. How long is the process?
We try to give each school district 10 days to
10 days.
respond.
Okay. So they give you enough time to try to gather information. Thank you.
That's calendar days. We give them 10 calendar days to respond.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. If there are no more questions, we'd like Dr. Harris to stay to Power School Showcase. There's a presentation that you'd like to share with us. Is that true? Thank you.
At the onset of this school year, we were informed that Tyler Siskay is merging with another company. They're ending their services and pretty much they're selling their services to a different company. And so we have the option to go with that company or choose a different company. So the Student Services Department devised a committee. Our committee was comprised of secretaries, our coordinator person, Ms. Gaskin. We invited principals, members of technology, and school principals and teachers to include NEA to be a part of the committee. And so we met monthly. We talked about what we wanted, what we needed services to include. And so we began to meet with the two companies, and we were able to come to a conclusion based on what we found from the presentations. And so we are interested in the Power School information system, and Power School does provide for us student information systems, enrollment, communication tools. That is our robocalls, so we can access it from the system. It supports us with payroll and finance, funding, core data assistance, professional learning and training. That's a system that we can use through HR to track professional development, professional learning for our staff. Power School Community, that is a group of other districts that are a part of the Power School community so that we can communicate and dialogue. It includes professional development and training, and also Power School has their own iClouds. And so today, to present Power School and show you a little bit about what they have, I am inviting Dan Walton. Dan Walton to come and present and show you information. Before I get to that, I'm sorry, I do want to discuss the cost.
Different from what's put in for.
So there is.
We've already got it.
Okay. I don't need to go.
Like to reference it here.
What we did is the 67,000. We are currently paying 69,000, a little bit over 69,000 for our Tyler Siskay system now. With the new system, which will give us a little bit more, this cost will be $67,521. It will cover the Power School Suite professional services, set up training, in services for the staff, and continuous support. Dan Walton.
Thank you, Dan. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Good evening, Board and Vice President. Really excited to be here to share a little bit about PowerSchool and specifically what we are doing here in the state of Missouri, but also what we've been looking to do to partner with the Normandy Schools Club. So just in brief intro, I serve as the Vice President of what we refer to as our student and student success teams at PowerSchool. I oversee our entire North America operation with support from teams all across the country, but specifically here in Missouri as well. School, even though we are the largest technology provider servicing North America, over 16,000 school districts across the U.S., we have a very deep footprint here also in the state of Missouri. Over 300 school districts across Missouri utilize PowerSchool for the solutions that are being proposed here to be of use in the Normandy School Collaborative. Of that, we have many, it's of course scattered across the state, but, some highlights include folks like Lee Summit, Liberty, Blue Springs, Pattonville, St. Charles, Waynesville, and many others as we go. The solution that we have for you is also something that, in addition to being something that is going to and reach the gaps around family engagement, communication, is also designed to help facilitate teacher engagement with those students and help provide an ecosystem that creates a true personalized learning experience as well. Further, whether it's our offices in Columbia or Kansas City, et cetera, we also continue to work with the DESE and have been partnering with DESE to ensure that state compliance reporting and the data accountability collections are top of mind and accurate, et cetera. With the solution that we have, there's a lot of components that just through the course of the conversations that I've heard over the evening, I feel are going to really be from the standpoint of helping kind of monitor some of those growths, building out the school, the new middle school that you are reinstating, but also helping facilitate some of the process and checks, frankly, that I just heard around the open enrollment issue. What we have here, to briefly, is a distilled down showcase of about 8 to 9 minutes, highlighting what the team and that Dr. Harris outlined has been a part of this, sat through multiple meetings, half day, full days, et cetera, just to give you kind of an idea of the solution that we're looking to bring to bear and support the school system. And with that, how do I conclude? Once the video is concluded, I'm happy to take any questions.
Flexible SIS at the center of your EdTech ecosystem can help you adapt, thrive, and overcome any challenges that come your way. In a fast-changing world, schools and districts are recognized a customizable student information system. How your setup and maintenance needs, setup tools, still allowing for each school in a district to configure unique settings for things like attendance, school calendars, and grade books. Districts with strict grading policies can configure them and lock them down, while those offering more flexibility have the choice to allow schools or teachers to update their default settings. When cancellation means calendars need to be, administrators can quickly push those settings out of buildings. Should a need arise to track and store information that may not already be part of the core database, PowerSchool SI needs. PowerSchool gives you the ability to add custom data fields and tables using the system's built-in extension management utilities. A custom screen utility needing to know any HTML or web coding languages. Customers also have access to the custom page management utility for building more complex custom screens or modifying the existing pages to meet their specific needs. PowerSchool customers all around the globe share these types of system enhancements with each other through the PowerSource Community Exchange and regional power. Installation of these enhancements or plugins takes just a few seconds using PowerSchool's plugin management dashboard. Districts and schools that choose PowerSchool SIS gain critical flexibility and customization capabilities that have led the K-12 industry for over 2 decades. Teaching in the 21st century often means teaching on the go, monitoring student work as you roam your classroom or outside the classroom. You and your students explore the world. Regardless of the location, teachers need a gradebook they can access using whatever device they have in hand. The school is committed to providing teachers use tools on mobile devices, tablets, Chromebooks, laptops, or a desktop computer in the classroom. Our Teacher Pro Gradebook provides teachers with all the tools standards-based grades. It also provides real-time feedback, helping teachers adjust their day-to-day delivery of curriculum. Schools and districts can pre-configure settings for final grading terms and traditional grade calculations, locking them down when strict grading policies are in place, or allowing teachers the freedom to manage and update their default settings in more time. Teachers won't need any special apps or software to use.
This is great information. I'm not really entrenched in this presentation. I'm going to ask for questions at this moment from the board. Ms. Pearson?
I have no question.
Lewis? Humphrey?
I have no questions at this time.
Ms. Taylor?
No questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Do you have any final thoughts?
I think I did want to add is that it does have a, be able to allow parents and staff to access the mobile app.
Saw that on Board Doc, so we can the appropriate time. Thank you so much. That concludes our items for information for tonight. Board comments. 9.1, we're going to start with Ms. Pierce.
Good evening, everyone. 2 months in from being elected to the school board, I want to thank the community for trusting me as an Normandy alum, and thank you to the Gathering Church for blessing one of our schools. And last month, I was honored to be a part of the high school graduation where our scholars, they had great speeches, great everything. The energy was wonderful. Just keep your students positive and love going throughout the summer months. And if you need
any additional support, I am available.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Ms. Williams.
Yes, I want to thank the gathering first. Thank you very, very much. I also want to explain that my hesitancy around my vote. Right now, we are in the middle of negotiations, staff, money, salaries, that kind of thing. And I kind of think about whether or not I actually wanted to say, yes, Solution Tree, because I have nothing against you, I don't even know you. Yes, Solution Tree, we will pay for you, while we haven't said how much we're going to give teachers and staff. Okay, so that was my hesitancy, that's all.
Well, once again, thank you for the gathering, for such a generous gift. I'm extremely excited about the next school year. Statement to him, I'm looking forward to the day when he turns the key to allow all of the machine to begin to operate, all of the processes that are in place, and begin to see the work that's going on in the school district, because I'm in and out of central office probably more times than I want to be. I'm sure people probably think I work there. I'm there so much. The thing about it, I see the energy. The thing that I'm hearing from the staff is that they're hearing that there are a lot more solid processes in place, and they're really excited about that. I learned today that there's a large number of the 9th graders that are engaged in summer school that are getting ready for the next school year. And I thought that was very exciting, because I don't think that's anything that I've heard in previous years. So I'm extremely excited about that. I want to say thank you to every teacher that provided any level of instruction, to every substitute that showed up to support our children, to all of the parents that have shown up. I just appreciate all that's being done, and I look forward to seeing all of the things, because I got extremely excited when I put back in place professional learning communities, because I know the value of professional learning communities, both to helping children as well as supporting of the educators that are doing the work. So I'll stop there, because there's a lot more I could say, but I want to get the meeting to the end.
Ms. Taylor.
I would just like to say again, thank you all for the decisions that you all made in April when you elected myself along with Ms. Teresa and reinstated or recalled Mr. Humphrey, and that you all are trusting the decisions that we make, that we're making the right decisions. I am not so much aware of your program, but it seems like it's a great success story. I did ask questions about the solution tree, because I did have concerns about the solution tree. And I think someone kind of made mention of the money, because we want to make sure that those that are going to come in and be helping the teachers, making sure that they are there to help the teachers, to not to come in and overrule the teachers, and not to make the teachers feel like someone is pushing me to the side and they're taking over. And then I just want to also say, I'm so thankful that we did vote to send our 7th and 8th graders back into a school setting where they can be amongst themselves, because I have a granddaughter who's going to be an 8th grader this year. And so I hear the horror stories, and I hear the things that are happening over at Washington School. Miss Dr. Holland, she doesn't get all the stories. And my granddaughter comes and she tells me, so I'm excited about that. And just one other thing is, I am so committed to making sure that we can reach out to the parents. I can't stress it enough. Is getting parent involvement and community involvement. If we can do that, Normandy is going somewhere, and the only way we can go is up. The only way we can go up. And so we're going to push up superintendent, but we're also going to be watching you, superintendent. Superintendent, he don't want to look at me.
Watching you out there.
Very briefly, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you so much. and your faith in our district. We appreciate your engagement. And really quickly, on last week, I was in a local coffee shop, and a young lady walked in with her spouse, and she was just beaming from ear to ear. She had a T-shirt that said something to the effect of, we love our students, but we love summer too. And so the people around started talking to her about where she's a teacher, and she said, where are you teaching? She says, I'm a teacher in Normandy. And I just stopped and was just listening. And she said, so how do you like teaching in Normandy? She says, I love teaching in Normandy. She said, my students are incredible. This is my first year teaching. I'm going, working on my master's degree, and I want to stay in the district. We have some challenges, but it's a wonderful place for me. Somebody pointed out, that's one of the board members behind you. And about the reality of our district, challenges that we're facing. And I told her, I said that today, our superintendent will be presenting at the state school board. And of all the things that he will update the state on, two things that I'm most excited about. One is our commitment to assessing and understanding the challenges that are facing our district from an external source, making sure that we understand and have a real picture of what is happening in our district. Solution Tree is one of our partners in doing that. The second thing is the commitment that we have for social and emotional learning. When I said that, she jumped up and gave me a high five. It really does help us understand that we're doing the right thing when our teachers give us the nod and the approval. So hats off to Dr. Triplett for his leadership and our entire team here in our district for listening to teachers, students, parents, and the folks in our community to really make it an honor to serve this district, and I thank you all for your service. With that being said, we have comments from our superintendent, Dr. Triplett.
Good afternoon. So I don't know if you all saw when the board taken to the middle school. I was looking at Mayor. I couldn't see Mayor McGee, but I'm sure he was probably doing the same thing. I want to thank the board for this effort. I want you all to know you are sitting inside of the new Normandy Middle School at Lucas Crossing. Give us a I want to also thank everyone who put an enormous amount of time and effort in this effort to bring back the middle school. I especially want to thank Dr. Leach Taylor for championing such a monumentous effort. Your dedication and hard work proved to be vital to this effort. I truly appreciate it. I want to thank Dr. Leach Taylor. This summer we have just north of 500 summer school students. 97 of them are at the ELC, 100 are at the Rock, and we have 212 high school students, including our 9th grade academy summer school enrichment program. Normally, Schools Collaborative is working in collaboration with the Job Corps to reinstate our relationships, and it began in March. And we referred 7 students. Now, 5 of those students were students who were aging out and would not be able to get credit. So we had to place them somewhere so that they can get some education and have some experiences so that they can be successful. Two of those students are recent grads of Normandy, 2023, and they elected to go to Job Corps to get some CTE skills. Some things that we're putting in place for next year. We're currently in conversations with St. Louis Community College, and for dual enrollment purposes, we're in conversations with North County Tech to renew our partnership so that we can increase our CTE partnership. On June 6th, we did have normally did make this biannual presentation to the State Board in Jeff City. And in that presentation, we focused on the superintendent's observations from his first 90 days on the job. In that observation, we also had conversations about moving the district forward. We're also in the process of creating a date to meet with the state for our biannual community forum, which will happen here at Normandy Middle School at Lucas Crossing. Normandy is extremely busy this summer preparing for the return of our students August 21st of this year, with several projects in progress to improve in teaching, learning, safety, and security, student support, food service, transportation, and facilities for our students. We have our Beyond the Backpack event. Is it August 5th, I believe? Dr. Taylor was quite modest. I told Dr. Taylor was going to be really that middle school, you push that button and Willie better start moving furniture tomorrow morning. That's how this works. That's how committed I am to this process. I have no time to wait. I want to make sure that our kids, I want to say kids because Ms. Williams say babies. So I want to say kids are ready to be received first day of school. We have a leadership retreat for principals on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of this month. We have a retreat on the 18th of July, and we have a leadership retreat, senior leadership retreat, that's fourth and coming. For the 24 enrollment for middle and high school, it will start, I believe, the week of July 10th, am I correct? Our finance department, to become better stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, the finance team is currently focusing on creating robust best practice methods and procedures designed to strengthen our internal controls to improve operations. I am a systems thinker. I do nothing without systems. I can't function without system instructions. So best believe system instructions we will have. Accountability. Purchased all of our curriculum for the next school year. We're waiting on those things to come in. We're in the process of creating professional development around what that curriculum with principals for gestating to be champions and instructional leaders, and they will be held true instructional leaders in their buildings. Also, we'll have professional this summer at the administrative retreat with Solution Tree so that they can begin training our leaders, including central office. We need training too. Kudos to Mrs. Alexander Moore, service coordinator. She took on the challenge. We have a new initiative this year to provide cooking in our schools. We want to cook from scratch in our schools, and the food has been absolutely delectable, if I can say so myself, not that I have. But staff has done taste tests, and the students are just eating it up, and so we want to provide those same services throughout the school year, so that our students can enjoy being nurtured while they're in school. In closing, I truly, truly hope that everyone is having a safe and enjoyable summer so far. Summer is a great time for staff and students to relax and recharge, and a time for student learning and enrichment and athletic conditioning. I encourage our students to make the most of this summer by utilizing the library, staying physically fit, and planning for participation in extracurricular activities in the athletics for the 2024 school year. I will be heavily involved in having meetings with coaches and athletes because I was a At any given time, I was a student and or I was an athlete, but I wasn't voting, but I know what it means to be in South Africa. And I do hope that our staff is recharging, taking the mental break away from all work. Parents and guardians, and one of my challenges is that everyone in the audience reach out to some parent and ask them to become involved in the schools, in the district success. What we lose is that after our parent participation diminishes. Once they get to middle and high school, that's what they need. About 10 parents this year personally went to homes because they were upset because their child didn't have enough credits to graduate. Well, they've been in high school for 4 years. Now, yes, we should have reached out to parents, but yes, parents should have reached out to us. And so what we will do is make sure that we are reaching out to parents. The problem with that is that our families are so displaced many times. Numbers change, addresses change, so we're urging you to make sure we're staying in parents' ears, staying in our colleagues' ears, to make sure when things change, they contact the district so we can stay in constant communication. I look forward to seeing students, staff, smiling faces, parents, and everyone back in our building soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Triplett. I think Beyond the Backpack, the event is a partnership with Beyond Housing, and it is the biggest part of the year in our district, the greatest celebration you ever want to see. There were llamas last year. We had llamas. It's an incredible event. You got to see this thing. It's incredible. So thank you so much. At this point, session. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank